Very good. Hi, everybody. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Welcome. So great to see you guys. All right. So today we have an amazing topic. We're going to be talking about body of glass, and this is a very beautiful energy technique that is really, really important to alchemizing life force energy through your body. We alchemize energy, as we talked about in this channel, with your mind, with your thoughts, with your emotions, but we can also redirect energy through the body, and we can choose what energy we take on the body, and we can choose what energy we release and let go from the body. Now, this is very important because, again, it's based on all the topics that we've been talking about this entire week, these weeks coming up to today, about using energy and how we cultivate energy and hold our energetic space. Essentially, body of glass has to do with how we are holding our energetic space, whether we are in resistance to the environment and the things around us, or whether we are in a state of flow. And those two different states of energy, holding patterns of energy, are very different. When we are in a state of resistance, actually, there's a crystallization process within your energetic field that becomes more solidified based on the low vibrational range that you are holding in your body through your emotions. So if your emotions are very dense, very heavy, and you're not flowing and you're in a constant state of resistance, confusion, disconnect, out of the body. Somebody asked the other day, what happens when you are out of the body? How does that respond? How does that correspond to these energetics? Anytime that you are completely lack of mastery, connection, and control over your physical body, then the body can pretty much become very solid energetically. Okay. And the densities of the body that are so dense that they basically don't hold on to energy very well. And the problem with this is that because you are a low vibrational, dense frequency, it's very hard for you to manifest, to co-create, and to direct energy into creation with your intention. In fact, because there's a lack of clarity, there's a lot of confusion and disconnect with the self, redirecting energy or using energy or even discerning whether certain energy is good for us or not is going to be very difficult. So this practice is really about the discernment of energy, to begin to identify what energy is something that we want to engage with. Now, what does it mean to be able to engage with energy? Anytime that we begin to apply meaning to something, interact with something, respond to something, we are entangling in it at the very cellular molecular level. And so remember that intention and curiosity are two energies that are very interesting, that are energies that engage you with the external world. Sometimes curiosity, subconsciously, curiosity is rooted in survival, because we want to know, if we tune into that energy, are we going to survive? Are we going to be in pain? Are we going to relive patterns that we did in the past that we don't want to experience or want to experience, perhaps? So this is very important, and why being in awareness and connected with the subconscious mind and all of the programs that you have running back there is important, that awareness. If you do not have the awareness to be able to identify and discern whether energies are in alignment with you or not, you can become very entangled in them. And of course, remember that everything that surrounds us is surrounding us because there's a resonant frequency. There is a mirror energy that is available to us through that experience. So the invitation is really to gently, gracefully be able to experience plethora of different kinds of opportunities of growth and experience in a way that we are evolving with the experiences rather than counter evolving. If we connect with people, places, and things that are not on our vibrational frequency, they can very quickly pull us down, drag us into situations that take us into very karmic cycles. Again, those are dormant unconscious states, repeating karmic cycles over and over again. So that is very much an energetic choice. How do we make these energetic choices is by first understanding, what are you wanting? What is your intention with the things that you're interacting? And very quickly discovering if your curiosity and your engagement with the thing that you want to interact with is coming from a higher purpose, or is it coming from a very unconscious state of survival? With that being said, body of glass is a technique that allows you to understand this as a second part and redirect energies once we identify that energies are very dense and very heavy and we don't want them into our space. How do we work with that energetically? Do we just run away from them? Do we just avoid them at all costs? Well, there are certain energetic boundaries that we have to maintain. Our energetic boundaries are not just by us saying, hey, don't talk to me or don't connect with me. Energetic boundaries are created by your frequency. Okay. So whatever your frequency is, you are creating energies that are actually in alignment with you or not in alignment with you. And that means very quickly that the more confused and disconnected you are to yourself, the more difficult it's going to be for you to understand what is in alignment with you or not. So let's talk about energy. If your body is in survival, if you are in fear, if you are in resistance to the things that are around you, and one form of resistance that's very common for us in a spiritual community is the concept of being in a state of protection. Okay, when we want to be protected, we want to ward things away from us. We want to intend that they are far away because we assign them the meaning that they are bad or wrong or low frequency. So this immediately creates a split between yourself and the other. To become a conduit of energy, we want to become a unifying force of life force. Okay. And so when we talk about body of glass, we are learning how to intentionally move energy through us in a way where it doesn't stick. It's not in resonance through vibrational frequency. And what happens is that just in the same way that you were curious about the other, or you intended on connecting or learning more or experiencing this other thing, the other is also curious about you. It's curious about you. It wants to experience. It's interested in what it can learn and grow through the experience of interacting with you. And so whatever is being thrown at you, if it's reciprocated, there's an entanglement. And that energetic entanglement can be pretty deep. Examples of entanglement are strong emotions. For example, deep love. When we fall in love with someone, this is a contractual agreement for experience. But we have to understand what is the purpose. And all of these contractual agreements have different levels of severity and impact in your growth, depending on how aware you are and how you use that interaction for your spiritual evolution. If you interact with other beings, but you're not conscious of recognizing the intention of the other and then your intention, that leads to a lot of chaos and cyclical karmic cycles. And you can be assured that the relationship in that way is very much for a karmic experience. Karma represents cause and effect, but it represents exactly if we are repeating toxic patterns or painful suffering patterns that we've had in the past with another. And if we're not aware of that, it is obviously the deeper the connection, the more important this lesson is. So there's always a reason for these interactions, but we have to discern in a way and be in such an observation that we can catch that. And very important in these interactions as a human, because all of us have these interactions with one another on a daily basis, is to understand that all of these experiences that we're having are for the evolution of your soul. The more awake you are, the more conscious you are, the more you can make sure that you are growing from that you are evolving from that. instead of falling asleep. Okay, because oftentimes, if we are driven by our lower nature, the survival, sexual and energy and exchange, interactions, and just the need of relationship or connection, feelings of disempowerment, those can all be inverted into these toxic codependent relationships in which our energy is depleted. Okay, and the first person to deplete that energy is yourself, because we are not magnetized to become a center, this centripetal center of co-creation and self-regeneration. We forget that, we fall asleep, and we become depleted and parasitic in a sense. We need from the external to feed and fulfill parts of us that have not been fulfilled or even identified. So it's important, this practice of awareness that we talked about the last 4 days, that you begin to identify, what are those programs that you're running, and what is it that you need in every interaction that you're interacting with? What is your intention? Okay. So working with the body of glass, essentially, we no longer see the world as something that is parasitic. We are not behaving in a parasitic manner in which we need from something external to fulfill us. And that's a very incredibly powerful state of existence. The ability to stay in a state of co-creation, regenerative energy that is creating, giving, recycling, moving energy, as opposed to something that is sucking the life out of other things, people, because this is empty. So this two ways of handling energy, I want you to identify. And then, this week, I want you to observe yourself. How much of the time are you in a co-creative, even exchange of life force? And how much of the time of this week are you in a parasitic state of life force, where it's all about receiving, taking, interactions, fear-based interactions, survival, and protection? Okay, the idea of protection, that we want something away from us, not connected to us. Those are extremely life force draining thoughts, and holding patterns energetically in the body and also through the nervous system. All of these patterns that I just mentioned are highly, highly stressful for the body. So we have a lot of chemicals running in the body that produce inflammation and then essentially illness. So we have to understand the connection between these parasitic forms of existence and illness, and of course, a state of co-creation and health and vitality and regeneration. Okay. So the lower three chakras, which manage these main filters of perception, are the ones that we want to work with. If we have very, very heavy, dense information passing through the first three chakras, very stagnant, it completely changes the filter of how you are interacting with another. And it also creates the resonant magnetic field that begins to attract more of this karmic information that you're holding here, that is stagnant here, which is why clearing your energetic body is extremely important. In order for body of glass to be something that you can master, you have to clean your energetic space. If you have a lot of debris, if you have a lot of stagnation, if you have a lot of heavy, heavy energies, it's really hard for the body to be able to move life force and redirect energy through the body. So that's super important. So let's take a look at, how does this work? This idea of holding energy in a way that is really conducive to your health. When we are coming into a state of a more centripetal spin, which is regenerative, giving, even exchanging, conscious co-creation and aware, the way that we hold our energy is very light. It's very regenerative. It's very expansive. We are operating from the heart, the throat, and the third eye. These are the filters of our perception. And what is being filtering? It's coherence through the heart, the ability to connect with all things as an extension and as a part of ourselves. To be able to see the world from the heart is a completely different state of existing. To be able to see the filters, those illusions of filters and disconnect that we're holding within ourselves and others, lifts the veil of that separation and allows for compassion. And the compassion is always first directed towards the self in order for you to identify how much you need to take on from the external world. Oftentimes in traumatic upbringings, we are not understanding the separation between ourself and how much emotion we need to take on as ours. And usually as children, you were taking on mom's emotions, dad's emotions, siblings' emotions. If you were extremely sensitive and an empath, you took on all of those things as a part of you and lost your identity pretty quickly. So to be able to clear that out, again, we have to find the true self. And the true self is done by peeling those layers of emotions and ideas and concepts of ourselves that we have borrowed for survival, whether in the dynamic of our families or in the way that we saw the world as a form of survival, which is usually from a manipulative state. And we don't realize that we're actually coming from a manipulative exchange. But any time that we shift or change or mold things in order for us to experience something in the way that we believe is more beneficial to us, it's always coming through a very specific filter. So we want to begin to peel those layers. So we begin to understand first, clearing the filter of a perception to see things clearly. When we are looking from the root, the sacral, and the solar, we're not seeing things clearly. We're seeing things extremely specifically from the information that is running here. And remember, the information that's running in the solar, the sacral, and the root are all going to be repetitive cycles of a more dense frequency. The dense frequencies are the information that we're running through for many generations, ancestral traumas, and you as the soul choosing to experience these over and over again as an incarnate. The invitation is to become aware, okay? Remember that when you are born, you forget who you are. You forget that you are infinite potential. There's this, dormant state of hypnosis. And this dormant state of disconnect of this soul that is disconnected from the soul due to traumas more and more as it begins to indoctrinate in this earth matrix and the programs that are here on earth, the body begins to take on all of these identities to become an identity in order to believe that it has to survive. And that is diminishing its greatness, its infinite potential into something very small. And so when we become adults that are, living life, what happens is that our abilities are severed. Our intuitive abilities, our co-creative abilities, our abilities of ascension, of truth, all of the parts of us that can have the potential of coming into that greatness are actually disconnected. The human is a product, it has the potential, I should say, of becoming this incredible embodiment. And one of the examples, we've had many, many examples actually, of these beings, these deities, and these beings that have developed themselves to a higher state of consciousness that were able to observe and manipulate energy in a way that was conducive to life. Like Jesus, for example, and all the great sages through history, all of the sages that have mastered their ability to affect energy and manifestation. And that is kind of an image that we have, and to understand our potential. Christ consciousness, which is what that's about, has nothing to do with the image or the religious concept of Christ, but it has to do with the Christic consciousness, which is, of course, the development of the chrism in the pineal gland through the alchemical process of the transmutation of the lower into the higher. It is the product of the alchemical marriage of the feminine and masculine that then produces the third, You are the third, and you are the producer of the third through mind, body, and soul. And the soul is experiencing this experience of a life as a third. Your life is the product of your incarnation and of your will to experience this density. So as this multidimensional human that you are, this choice and this ability to come into the awareness and to come back into that remembrance of how to utilize this vessel, how to navigate this physical realm in a way that is deeply integrative, that is deeply healing and constructive for the regeneration of timelines, genetic lineages, the healing of your genetic lineage, the healing of the ancestral programs, karmic traumas that you carry and that you've chosen to experience in this lifetime. The transcending of those is the activation of this incredible body. But we have to become aware of the things that we are repeating. And as we begin to peel those layers in you finding the core true observer, now you can begin to move in this realm in a way that is incredibly creative. So in these techniques that I'm going to be sharing with you in the next couple of weeks, body of glass is one of the most powerful techniques because it has everything to do with the expansion of your energetic field. And it has everything to do with the product of what happens when you clear your energetic space to begin to manifest and co-create in a way that is incredibly healing for you. Okay? So let's talk about that. In the body, if we learn how to clear this body and if we learn how to control the chakras, we can dictate the energy that we present to the external world. As I mentioned a couple of days ago in the video of expanding and contracting the body, we have many, many layers in the multidimensional body. Let me just open that up for us. We have many, many layers in this multidimensional body. And the layers of the multidimensional body can be controlled and managed, can be utilized. It is the awareness of yourself over your mind, your psychology, your energetic body that begins to move the layers of this field in a way that is conducive for co-creation. The more dense the energies that you have, the less you can move things. That's why energetic hygiene, energetic cleaning is absolutely essential as a daily technique, as a daily healing practice. So remember that each one of these layers, they are deeply, deeply connected to the organs of the body as well. And how we move the energy depends on the frequency. So let's take a look what happens here when we begin to move this energy inside the body. Because everything is frequency, let me just bring up my chart on frequency here because I want to show you guys this. Because everything is frequency, let me find my frequency chart. Okay. Because everything is frequency, the way that the body is holding emotional data, because emotional data is frequency essentially, it will define how expansive your field is. Okay, so let's take a look. The more contracted you are, the lower the frequency. Okay, so your chakras are stagnant, they're heavy, they have all kinds of heavy emotions. The higher, the more expansive, the more higher vibrational frequency you are holding. When you neutralize, when you learn how to embody the neutral state, you actually begin to do something very interesting in the body. The vortex from which you are made out of, your merkaba, begins to spin faster. One of the fastest states of the body to spin is when we are holding the merkaba in the body, which is redirecting the lower matter into the focus of the higher principles, the higher faculties. And we are anchoring source and our infinite potential into the matter. This merkaba represents the alchemical marriage of the non-physical with the physical. And it is the mastery and the balance of those two life forces. As you can see, this beautiful geometric shape is created with symmetry around the body. The most empowered state of this body is here around the midriff, in where the heart and the emotional body have become one. The physical, the most densest elements of the body have united with the higher faculties. So it is the higher self and the soul mastery over the physical that actually has the capacity of moving the body into a higher state of frequency, which allows it to navigate denser matter all around you in a way that is incredibly powerful. So the neutral state begins to remove all of these blockages that we've created and these false sense. So a person that exists in a state of fear, for example, has a false sense of protection. In fact, remember, in creator states, all that they think about is that they are protected from something outside of them. And this is really important. Remember, protection down here. Competition, punishment, judgment. It's all about judgment. What is good? What is bad? Okay. So when we exist in a constant state of protection, we are existing in total effect of things. Things have power over us, and we strongly believe that. We strongly believe that we have to protect, that it's us and the other. This is extremely important for those of you that are having interdimensional experiences. As I mentioned before, that interdimensional experiences are a manifestation, an initiation into your higher faculties and your ability to navigate higher states of consciousness by coming into the 0 point in those experiences in order to access your free will. When you begin to access your free will through the 0 point, now you begin to choose and discern through your energetic body and the cultivation of your emotions and the energy that you're holding in the body. Regulation of the nervous system in the physical body, which translates into higher states of consciousness when you are leaving the body in dream state. And that level of mastery allows you to begin to access a higher understanding. So the alchemization of this energy and information that we're doing in all dimensional layers has a lot to do with how we are holding energy. So what happens in the physical body that exists in a constant state of protection is that their energetic field is so dense that that heaviness that has become crystallized, essentially all of that density of pain and suffering and all those heavy emotions become more crystallized in your space, making it hard for you to navigate. Definitely not remembering your dreams, not having lucid dreams, not being able to navigate, out of body experiences. Just look at how dense the body is. Okay, so the average person walks around like this. So if you're like this and there's something coming at you, okay, there's a lot to hit here. There's a lot to reflect on. Okay. And your state of resistance is essentially going to bounce this energy back and forth. Trigger. That is the trigger. The trigger is the resistance reflecting in the energetic body. So we are so dense that everything hits us and we can feel it in the body. Because we are so dense, we feel it in the physical body. And we feel it through the physical body extremely heavy. Okay, so for example, someone says something to us, it triggers us, we get super angry, and then our head hurts or our stomach hurts. This is the direct sign of a person that has no mastery or even an awareness of what is being triggered, because they are at effect of their environment. Everything around them is affecting them. And more than likely, the human doesn't even know why or how it's affecting them. And this requires an important reconnection between the emotional body and the physical body. And I've mentioned this many times. The harder it is for you to identify and to know what you're feeling and why you're feeling that way, the more disconnected you are from your body, the more you're not in your body most of the time. And so it requires a reconnection. That reconnection is cultivated by awareness, the observation of yourself in all experiences, so that you can understand how you're holding your energy and why. This is very important. So the human that begins to become aware of their own densities and how to clear that out and begin to, let's say, practice energies like running energy, clearing their energetic body, now the energy begins to move. So what happens? You become so much lighter that when you have something hit you, okay, it goes right through. Let's see if I can grab a little arrow here to show you. Okay. Okay. So what happens to the individual that is lighter in their bodies energetically? Here's what happens. The energy goes right through. Okay. And the reason for that is because we are holding our energetic space in a neutral state. Now, this happens over the cultivation of your emotions, regulating of your nervous system, clearing up your shadow work. So all of the traumas, beginning to neutralize them by healing. The other way to do this is to begin to work with your energetic field and to learn how to control your energetic body. I talked to you about two different ways of accessing this information. One is working energetically with the energy in the body, removing all the energy that we don't need, bringing the energy that we do need. And the other is doing deep subconscious work with our programming to deprogram belief systems of suffering, separation, and pain. So in the body of glass, in the technique of body of glass, what we're doing is we're learning how to use our body as a conduit of energy. We're going to just move this out of the way so I can show you here. And learning how to work with your energetic body in such a way that you are redirecting the energy that does not serve you out of your body, through your body, without it affecting you. What happens is that this energy does not affect or hit you. You begin to control the matter of your body. And you can do that by using the tool of your imagination. Remember that imagination is creation when we are using our intention, a clear intention. So for example, in the body, if we begin to visualize the body as being invisible, and if you change the frequency of your body from being a very heavy, dense matter into the spirit self, or the light that you are, because remember, we are all light, and practicing instant alchemization with your body. That's what body of glass is. It's instant alchemization. You begin to change and intentionally change the matter of your body from a dense state into a higher state of frequency, which is super neutral, and from the activation of your crown chakra. Okay. What is going to be left instead of this physical, huge physical body, heavy, dense physical body, is the light body, a beautiful, brilliant light. Now, one way to also work with energy is to begin to remember that everyone is light. Everything is light. And this psychologically, when we begin to shift our perception at looking at others as light rather than the avatars that they present to us or the personalities, the images that they present to us as themselves, there's a very powerful, powerful shift that happens, that we can begin to use our five senses as an intuitive tool to begin to identify the truth about humans, the truth about those that we're interacting with. This is incredibly important. So as we begin to imagine the body becoming glass, all that is there is a very light outline of your physical body and nothing but a light that is emitting. So gently the body begins to dissolve and disappear, and all that is this beautiful, powerful light. Okay. So we're going to practice that technique today because it takes a lot of practice. It takes practice because we are so used to this physical body. And I want to mention that there's a huge difference with this technique and leaving the body. We had somebody ask, what happens if we leave the body? Leaving the body means that we're disconnected from the body. We are avoiding the body or avoiding something in or through the body. And that allows us to just be hanging out up here above the body. And then the body has no awareness. No one's home. It just becomes a shell, which can be very easily, parasitized, because we become parasitic when we are not in our body. Okay. So essentially the full embodiment, this technique requires absolute grounding. We have to train to ground in the body completely. And from there, imagine that your physical body is dissolving, but all that is left is the pure light that is within you. Now, this technique is incredibly beautiful because it serves as one of the most incredible protections. And from protection, I don't mean that we are avoiding something external, but it actually means that you become all. And I invite you to test this technique when you go into nature, that when you begin to activate your crown, you'll notice that animals will be more attracted to you because you are oscillating and vibrating at the vibrational frequency of Earth, of this universe. It is a very healing, peaceful, harmonious frequency that all living organisms are attracted to. Okay, because it is an ultimate truth. It's the embodiment of truth. It is the embodiment as truth through you, which is these universal unity. So the denser your body is, the more separate you become from all things around you. And also you feel very alone, very disconnected. Okay, those ideas of separation are all embodied in a very dense, heavy body. The opposite of that is the body that becomes all, that becomes its light form. The higher the vibrational frequency you enter, the more free will you have. Remember, you can only access free will when you are in the 0 point. Anything before that is just repeating patterns over and over again. So your ability to wake up consciousness and begin to become aware of what you are doing in your daily basis with your energy, through your energy, as you exchange with those around you, is incredibly important. And as you begin to cultivate this incredible compassion, this peace, you begin to charge and magnetize your frequency into a higher state of manifestation and co-creation. So what happens is that all of the dense energies that are around you that were once a magnetic match to your heavy, heavy energy, they go right through you. And this is a technique that is practiced in martial arts, is the redirection of energy that is like heavy, strong, powerful energy, chaotic energy through and around you. In martial arts, we utilize this to take a punch that is coming towards you. And because your body becomes fluid, it's trained in the martial arts. They teach you to become not to be stiff. Remember, they say when you stand in your martial art stance, you're not going to be stiff. You're not going to be like clenching your muscles. You are going to release your muscles. You're going to come in a soft state, in a very flexible, moving state where you are flowing with energy, you are bouncing, you are able to move this energy rather than sitting still and clenching your muscles and strong and heavy, right? So in the physics of this body, when we're working with these heavy energies that are going to be directed towards us, the heavier and stiffer and more solid you are, the harder the impact is going to be. So when you get that punch, you know, the body is like a rock. You're going to feel it, and so will the other person. And the other person, remember that the energy that is being directed at you, it has a very powerful intention. It can be a chaotic intention because it doesn't have a clear intention, but that intention with chaos can create more chaos. So as we feel this powerful energy coming towards you, to be able to redirect that energy so that it no longer affects or hurts, and even disengage the individual that's throwing the energy at you, you have to learn how to work with your energy in a way that you protect. And that is coming into this reconnection with your body in order to become a fluid form of energy that is now coherent with all things around it. And that allows you to redirect energy through and around you. So in martial arts, when we do this practice and someone throws a punch at your shoulder, for example, and you come into this fluid state, the impact isn't as hard because your body's moving back with the punch. Your body is fluid, okay? And the amount of energy that's directed towards you literally moves through your body. In techniques like Tai Chi and Qigong, we literally learn how to take that Qi, that life force, and grab it and redirect it. So this is how these incredible martial artists learn how to compete in these battles, redirecting energy with not a lot of having to hit back at any other person. It's all about redirection of energy. It's the mastery of redirecting energy. Okay, so this is what we do in life, in everyday scenarios. When we feel that we are in danger, for example, let's say we're walking down a dark alley and there's a group of kids that, a little lost and in a lot of suffering and pain, looking for attention, looking for love, looking for an exit way for all of their sorrow. They begin to see this person walking down this alley and they find an opportunity because they are parasitic. So in that parasitic behavior, they begin to attract to you, and they see you, they feel you, they sense you. As soon as you start feeling fear, your frequency drops into a very low frequency. And this low frequency creates a resistant energy, which means when they're knocking at the door, you answer and say hello energetically. I'm here to play. I'm here to interact. I'm here to engage with your intention. The opposite of that would be to disengage energetically. And the way to disengage is to alchemize that fear into a higher state of frequency that is more fluid. Now, for the majority of people that have evil intentions, or let's say lower frequency intentions from a parasitic film, they are very, very afraid of the unknown. Very afraid of the unknown. That's why they merge and hang on to matter, to the physical matter, physical form, and all those dense, heavy energies and emotions of the physical form. So in that case, they are attracted to that, and that's what they want reciprocated energetically. They need a reciprocation. Without the reciprocal energy, these parasites become bored, in other words, because there's nothing bouncing back. The only reason why a parasite will engage is in order to survive, is in order to have something be given back. So that's something that you need to know about yourself, because we're not only talking about the people outside of us, we're talking about us. Okay. So for example, what kind of parasitic behaviors do you do in which your energy is going outside and trying to get from other people stuff that other people, try to resist or avoid? That is incredibly important for you to be aware of, because the more you're unaware of how you sustain parasitic energy in your body, the more you're going to be surprised when you interact with parasitic individuals. Okay. So what happens when you begin to alchemize this energy in the moment and you turn into this body of glass? When you turn into the body of glass, let me see if I can find a body of glass guy. Let's see if I can find that. Bear with me here. Oh yeah, we have a body of glass guy right here. Perfect. Okay. So please hold on just 1 second. Be right back. Okay, sorry guys, had a little unexpected visitor at the door. Okay, so let's talk about this. When we are embodying the body of glass, what happens? Okay, so what happens is that we begin to shift our vibrational frequency from the dense matter into this light body. Okay, so we become more light than we are holding this heavy, heavy matter. Okay. And what happens in this case when we are using this energy, when we are working with energy, sorry, that's not a very elegant energy there, but you get the point. When you begin to work with energy in a way that you can redirect it. What happens is that you're not interesting anymore to the denser energies, and you're also not at the same frequency of these denser energies. Okay, so that is really important. Okay, so here's the solid human here that's redirecting some funny energy at us, and it just goes right through. So ways that you can use this energy: protection from the perspective that you are redirecting parasitic energy out of your space, number one. Number two, you are engaging in a parasitic conversation or engaging in a parasitic relationship or interaction, and you want to disengage with the person. Sometimes people don't know how to respect boundaries, and so they just, they just want to capitalize on your energy, your time. Let's say you're networking in a room, and sometimes we don't know when to say, sorry, I have to go, or okay, I'm not interested in this conversation anymore, or no longer in resonance with this interaction, so I want to leave. So those are things, again, energetically, that you have to work on, the shadow work on the back end. Okay, but let's say that you're in a networking event and there's, all of these people that are just coming in energetically. When you begin to embody the body of glass, what happens is that the people lose interest. They basically feel like they're talking to themselves, and there is no reciprocal energy. So it bounces back. It goes right through you. Okay. It does not, it goes right through you. It doesn't bounce back at them. Because again, what the parasite wants is a response. This is very important to understand these energy dynamics when we talk about creator states, because the higher the vibrational frequency that you hold, the more fluid your conversations, your interactions, more intentional they become as a result of resonance. So in this case, you can disengage energetically. And this is like constant energy work. You can clear your energetic space after you go to a networking event or connection event. And what happens is that, you light up again, because a lot of times people will go to groups to interact with others, conferences, whatever it is. And boy, by the end of the night, you are drained. You are so drained. Your energy is done. And then there's other people that leave the conference and they're super energized, right? They're super energized. So those are two different depictions of how we hold energy and how we learn how to interact with energy in constructive and deconstructive ways. Now, this body of glass I've talked about many times. I've used this technique in very, very powerful ways. Okay, and I've given many examples, but using it for protection, using it for choosing a different timeline it also works for that. Okay. And I'll just give a brief example of one time. Well, actually, it happened many times, but in situations where I needed, support and help. And remember that when you're not breaking your karmic contracts on a daily basis, you fall into karmic cycles. So the law of accident hits in order to wake you up out of your unconscious state of disconnect and lack of awareness. So one day I was driving a car, and I believe that I don't know if I was speeding or I missed a stop sign. I can't remember. But I get pulled over by a cop, and the police asks and says, hey, I need your driver's license. So I give it to them, and I just thought, out of an experiment, what happens if I embody the body of glass? So I put a body of glass around my body, and I even put it around my car. And next thing, he comes running over and just hands me the license, and he says, sorry, we have an emergency. Don't speed, or don't miss the stoplight again. Stop sign. And it was very interesting because I tried this in many other circumstances, in some circumstances of being in danger, in which, for example, a male was coming towards for an interaction. But the energy of that male was not positive. It was something that was very negative energy. And so it deflected that completely. So that's another technique. And there are many ways that you can utilize this technique, but the important thing is that when you're practicing this, that you understand that you are shifting your frequency. And so you don't want to do this when you're, let's say, riding your bike and crossing the street, because it code be that you won't be seen. Okay, so that's important, because we cannot control other people, but energetically, when you present yourself in a certain way, that intention has an outcome. So you have to understand energetics. This is a very real thing, and you can experiment it on your own to see how it works. So that being said, I want to jump right into it. I'm going to stop the share right there. And I'm just going to come over here and see if you have any questions. You guys can put your questions in capital letters. If you have any questions. I'm going to jump into the meditation. Okay. All right, guys, let's get started. I want you guys to get really nice and comfortable, and I want you to sit up straight with your 2 feet on the ground for this practice, because I really want you to practice, watching your energy as a whole. Okay. And as you're sitting there, I just want you to see yourself with your eyes open. And this is a technique that I want you to practice on your own. And I have a lot of videos on this technique, by the way, so you can revisit some of those to go into deeper aspects of it. But today we're going to practice it and see how it works. So I want you to visualize yourself sitting exactly where you are from the outside. So imagine that you are across the room looking at yourself sitting exactly where you are. Go ahead and see yourself there. So take a moment to see if you can see yourself there. Okay. So now I want you to connect with your body in where you're sitting, and I want you to feel with your eyes open the floor underneath your feet, the shoes that you're wearing with your eyes open. I want you to feel your socks, or whatever it is that you have on your feet, to begin to feel your pants or your skirt, or whatever it is that you're wearing, your clothing on your body. Go ahead and tune in to the clothing on your body. Notice how that feels. Okay, with your eyes open, you can look straight ahead. That way you can train your sensation and connection to your body. Go ahead and connect to your hips, your sit bones. I want you to feel how it feels to be sitting on the chair that you're sitting, or wherever you're sitting. Feel if it's soft, feel if it's hard. Feel if you feel the weight of your body sinking into wherever you're sitting. Go up into your lower abdomen, into your solar plexus, into your center core. With your eyes open, feel the clothing on your abdomen. Feel the back of the chair on your back if it's touching you. I want you to feel everything around you. Go up into your neck. Go up into your head. Into the crown of your head. You're going to visualize here within this space as you are here. You're going to go into meditation now with your eyes open. Go ahead and send your grounding cord down to the center of the earth. Go ahead and see the center of the earth with your eyes open. Go ahead and visualize as you are grounding, coming fully into the body, a sphere around your body made out of something completely impenetrable. See it all around you. Okay. And I want you to notice that you have no openings in your sphere. Your sphere is completely closed. Okay. Take your time to create that sphere around your body. We should be holding this sphere around the body every moment of our day, whether we're talking to someone, whether we're washing your dishes, doing your homework, whatever it is that you're doing. We should maintain the awareness of the present moment, which is available to us inside this container of our body. This energetic container that we decide what we experience. We decide the filter of how we're going to experience something. So now that you are grounded and you're protected in this bubble, this sphere of energy, I want you to begin to visualize that you are becoming invisible, starting at your toes. Okay. So the actual body becomes invisible. Toes, ankles, all that's there is an invisible trace of the body, almost as if you're made out of glass. Go up into the shins, the calves, the knees, the thighs. Going up into the hips. Okay. And remember that you still see the chair that you're sitting on. And it becomes empty. Go up into your waist, your hips, your chest, your shoulders, into your head. And your body has now turned into a body of glass. You're made out of glass. Now, some of you, if you are not connected to your body, you might have a tendency of wanting to leave the body. So I want you to anchor yourself in the body, ground yourself down to the center of the earth. And I want you to find your light. Okay, so your crown chakra that is up here, activating and expanding that crown. All that is here in the body is a light. Sorry. Okay. Go ahead and sit. Holding your energetic space. Notice how it feels to be in this state of glass. Notice what changes, emotions, thoughts. Going up into your eighth, expanding your eighth. Okay. And allow yourself to see yourself from across the room, like we tried at the beginning of this practice. And just see that the chair that you're sitting in is empty. Imagine that the chair that you're sitting in, it's empty. All that is there is just the empty space. All that is there is a light. And only those that can see the light can be attracted to that light. Very good. Breathing deeply. Okay, we're going to practice rematerializing our body because we don't want to be in body of glass all the time. This is only a technique to learn how to work with your energy when you need it. Remember. So let's go ahead and visualize our body coming back into the solid form. Start at your toes, ankles, your shins, your calves, your knees. Feel how the body changes, becomes more dense, more heavy. Go up into the hips, into the solar plexus. It's like you can feel the weight of your body now. And if you can feel that contrast, because I can feel that contrast pretty strong, if you can feel that contrast, it speaks to how powerful it is working with your energy, okay? And also how intuitive you are and how you're able to pick up the subtle energies of your body. Going up into the hips, into the solar plexus, into the chest, the shoulders, the arms, the hands, the head. And notice how that feels, just so much more solid, more contained. Okay? So you went from alchemizing the body into all and nothing, into the physical matter once again. So this is a very powerful technique that I want you to use, and you can utilize it in any of your practice. So let's go into our meditation. Go ahead and ground yourself. Be grounded. You're going to continue that grounding. Go ahead and close your eyes now. Go ahead and visualize your bubble around you, making sure there are no openings. You're going to begin to shrink the root chakra down to the size of the dime, the sacral, the solar. Go ahead and expand your heart, expand your throat, your third eye, opening the center of your higher faculties and vision, clear vision. Go up into your crown, activate your crown. From the center of the earth, go ahead and bring a powerful wave of green light that comes rushing up into the body, up into the feet, into the legs, into the abdomen, creating a vortex of energy. From source, go ahead and bring powerful golden light down to the crown of your head, combining with the green earth energy at your solar plexus. Take 10% back down to the center of the earth, creating a channel of healing and anchoring source through your body. Take 80% of that combination up your spine from the crown of your head, coating the outside of your sphere. green feels too heavy, use gold. Gold energy from the earth instead of green. As you combine cosmic and earth energy at the center core of your body, you're going to take that final 10%, bring it up your spine, into your body now, into the pores, the flesh, the muscles, the bones, down to the cellular level of your body, transforming any death into life. Begin to observe, what is the emotion that you most felt today? Notice the emotions that come up as you observe this emotion in your body, and observe it. Notice, who is it that you feel this emotion towards? Who or what are you feeling this emotion towards? The stronger the emotion, the longer you're going to sit observing it. Relaxing all the tension in the body as you feel the emotion, so that as you release from the muscles, the muscle memory of those emotions begins to release for you. The information reveals itself as insights very clearly. Go ahead and notice, what is it that you need? What is the need? What is the yearning that's being communicated to you through this emotion? As you begin to identify exactly what you need, begin to look at all the parts of you that need this. How many fractals of yourself have been split off in the pursuit of trying to find this? Very good. As you begin to identify all that you need, begin to gather all these fractals into one cell. Provide them with everything that they need as you begin to alchemize from the core subconscious level, releasing the old program, and you're replacing it with something new. I want you to feel into this new program. I want you to identify the emotions, the thoughts, the embodiment. What does that embodiment look like of the new emotion? What does that embodiment of the new emotion feel like? This new belief system, what does that belief system feel like when you try it on? What kind of mindset change do you have? What kind of energetic patterns change, nervous system change, emotional changes through your bioelectrical system? Notice if you have more energy as you charge yourself with this information or less. Okay, usually the more healing it is, the more energizing your parts become. So go ahead and see all these fractals of yourself merging into one self in front of you. Notice how charged they are energetically, how vibrant, how full of life, how free, how fluid they become. You're going to integrate this part of you into your body. Very good. Notice any fears that come up as you integrate these parts into you. Go ahead and notice the ego part that is in fear, or the little child underneath that is in fear. And I want you to nourish that part of you until that fear melts away. What does it need in order to alchemize that fear? What would be an alchemizing element for that fear? Go ahead and inhale deeply, taking all these parts into you. We're going to clear our energetic space. Go ahead and clear 13 layers of your body. Down to the center of the earth or out through the crown of your head, whichever feels right for you. Let's go ahead and begin to activate the crown with your creative color. Go ahead and see your karmic room, your room full of karma contracts. You're going to eliminate those. Go up into your room full of karmic relationships and interactions. Go ahead and clear those out. Very good. Begin to open the root chakra back into a balanced state, clearing out the root. The sacral, open it back into a balanced state, clearing out the sacral, the solar. Go ahead and open it up back into a balanced state, clearing out the solar, the heart, clearing out the heart and closing it just a little bit. The throat, just a little bit, clearing out the throat, the third eye, just a little bit. So your body went from this to this, back into alignment. As you begin to go up into your third eye and crown, go ahead and activate the 8th, 7th, the 8th, the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13 chakras. You can go as far up as a 24 if you like, activating all of those chakra bodies, all the spheres. Remember, those are spheres around your body, and sustaining as much stillness as possible. Coming into a state of calm and peace and serenity. Excellent. Go ahead and open your eyes and come back into the room. Welcome back. You guys did amazing. What a gift to share with you guys. I want to thank you for joining me for this meditation. It's a very powerful meditation, and it's a powerful clearing. So I really hope that it helps you. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and put it down in the chat. I'll be so happy to answer your questions. And yeah. Let me see. Lots of love. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. If you guys have questions about the body of glass, go ahead and put it in the chat. And then tomorrow, I'm going to talk to you about healing the body, the energetic body. We're going to do some healing. Alchemist says, sometimes I meditate so much, I feel like I never need to sleep. Does this sound like trauma to you? Yeah, so I mean, it really just depends on what are we doing in the meditation, because remember that life is all about harmony and balance. And when we're doing that meditation, that it's productive. Okay, so make sure that, you know, whatever, if you're working a lot in that meditation, you're unraveling and healing and integrating parts of you, awesome that you're spending that time. But when you are working with, you know, your energy, obviously that running energy is going to regenerate the body, and usually running energy is much better than sleep. It's definitely regenerative. When I was a flight attendant back in my college days, this was such a technique that I needed, because I was traveling 4 different time zones in one, you know, stretch, and it was just incredibly exhausting. So running energy, and especially activating the crown, is incredible for sustaining that conduit state of energy. Okay. So yeah, and you need to also rest the body. Remember that everything has to be done in harmony. Number one, are you listening to your body? Is your body tired when you're doing this work? If you need to sleep, you have to sleep. So always listen to your body. Okay. Blue Cruz says, anybody having a temporary electrical outage in the southeast momentarily ago due to Hurricane Debbie? Wow. Sorry about that. I really hope you are safe there, beloved soul. Anybody else in that area? Barna says, lots of love. Thank you for your work from Hungary. Love you, Barna. Thank you so much for that. Are you running GPAC training again? Yes, we're going to start our summer session pretty soon. So definitely stay tuned for that. I need so much physical healing. Need to get rid of fear in mainstream doctors. How can I overcome this? Well, first of all, learn to trust yourself. Okay, number one, you have to learn to trust yourself, but also, and here's why, because in the process of learning how to trust yourself, you're going to be developing intuition. And that discernment will allow you to understand what, because, you know, the medical field not all of it is dark. Obviously, there's light and dark and everything. And there are certain things in the um, medical procedures that, you know, we need because we've let our body go down to such deterioration, and we haven't addressed the emotions, we haven't healed and done the shadow work, that the body, it destructs, you know. So when we have come to a point where our body just cannot sustain itself anymore, of course we're going to need the external help, go to the doctor, maybe take medications, whatever it is that needs to happen. But all of that has to be done with an understanding of self-love. I know that in my journey, when I was disconnected with my body, I became ill. But as soon as I reconnected with my body, I knew when I had to go see a doctor for something. I knew that because there's a connection, and you know you need some extra help. And sometimes we do need that. So you need to be connected with your body and listen again to your body. Make sure that you are nourishing, nurturing, supporting the body in its healing journey, whatever it might be. Because what will cause eventually death or severe illness is the disconnect from that intuitive knowing of what your body needs and what your body doesn't. Okay, so that is extremely important. Yeah, trust yourself, train that. Laura Light says, what does my 12-year-old Maori daughter need? Dad, not around, deep grounded, heavy girl, talented but angry and sad, cutting herself. Yeah, Laura, I'm so sorry that this is happening. I work with a couple of teens that have this issue, and so there's a couple things that are happening here. And, you know, Laura, maybe we should talk more in private. But what I see with teens and just people in general, even adults that cut themselves and do self-harming things, there is such a severe feeling of abandonment and not being heard, not being communicated with, not being acknowledged in the way that this human needs. Okay, it needs to be seen, needs to be acknowledged for all that it's going through. And in family circles, a lot of times there is a dynamic, and I'm not saying this is what you are experiencing in your family, but what I see as a pattern is that there's a dynamic where there are a lot of hidden aspects and suppressions of open communication, suppressions of truth, suppressions of how things should be said, or, you know, they have to be in a certain way. This creates an unsafe place to communicate, and therefore these individuals are internalizing their communication and their pain to physical acts of harm. It's incredibly important that communication be open. And sometimes in family circles, that can be very hard because we might not realize that we aren't always the most conducive for communication. I see that a lot with these parent-children interactions, that the parent thinks that they're doing everything they need in order to hold space for the child, but sometimes the parent has filters which doesn't allow certain things. There's still some ideas about taboo, ideas about shame, ideas about sin, you know, and these create constructs of restriction, constructs of control, severe amounts of control that are very subconscious. So when that happens, a lot of times these individuals, because they're very empathic, people that hurt themselves are highly sensitive, and the only way to be able to speak and to internalize that is by causing harm, because they're suppressing so much of that emotion internally that they feel that they can't express. It's not always the external environment that isn't providing an open space for communication. Oftentimes they have a very strong belief that it is not a safe place to speak, or that what they say will not be welcome. So this requires a lot of open communication, compassion, patience, love, and helping the human redirect with their body. People that harm themselves are completely outside of the body. They are not there. They don't want to be there, which is why there's a desensitization to how the body feels when there is a cut or a hurt or a harm on the body. And it's a way of retaliating against themselves. It's a self-hate for self-betrayal. A lot of times there's severe programs of betrayal of the self. And it can be that they're not able to communicate something that happened to them. Sometimes they undergo severe events or traumas that they can't communicate or they don't feel safe to talk about, and so they internalize. So anyway, there's so many other reasons around this. It's really important to look into that. But one thing that we can do as parents, Laura, one thing that you can do is to break karmic contracts on a much higher level with the soul. Okay. And what it'll do is that it'll open energetic space, cutting those cords, because what happens in family circles where there's a lot of trauma is that we create really heavy cords. And when we try to change or move things, or we're evolving and growing, our energy is stuck because the other person keeps having the same filter and they're not seeing beyond that. So we have to cut energetic cords, take those cords, reconnect them back to source. Remember, alchemize back to source. And what that does is it opens the energy back to neutrality, neutral state. And that allows infinite potential to take place. And if we hold a place of 0 point or as much unconditional love for ourselves, taking accountability for our energy, what will happen is that it snaps the human out of dormant states. Okay, but this work is not to do anything to the other person. This is all your internal work. Okay, so when you hold your energetic space, you own your space, and you're aware of your energy, you can begin to, in meditation, see the child, shine your crown chakra, notice the agreement that you have with the child, whatever experience is being shared here. What is the agreement? And you dissolve those karmic agreements. It starts to clean up the energy. And what I hear from most of my clients is that, sons, daughters that have been estranged for years, give them a call all of a sudden, wanting to have an opportunity for a second relationship. I mean, healing, opening of communication, healing of relationships are all available when we start doing the energetic hygiene. But you have to be aware of that and work with your own energy. So this is one way. Another way that you can also work with energy at home, is that you ground your house, and that if they live with you, you fill your home with the color gold, which is the highest neutral frequency. And it brings all living beings back into a harmonious state in alignment with the universe and with Earth, with these universal energies. So that is another powerful way to begin to hold space that is more conducive, because a lot of times people that harm themselves, even when they're outside of the family, they're kind of, sometimes the trauma is first started in the family, but then continues and is magnified in their personal relationships. So what happens is that, there's no container of finding a common ground, a secure grounding. So holding space energetically that is conducive when they come back and there's a more peaceful environment in the home can help heal all of that trauma and feeling of unsafe that might be there. So just some thoughts, Laura. I'm not sure what your case is or what you're going through specifically, but definitely reach out if I can help you in some way. Okay, love you so much. Thank you for being here. You're amazing. When my body returned after the glass, I felt hot and like everything moved inside. Interesting, Dorina. Yeah. So notice temperatures. Some of you are more sensitive to sensations like temperature changes, pressure changes. Notice that you're going to feel all of that as you're changing and working with your energy matter. Okay. So that's a good way. Barna says, what could it be that I feel physical touch in my dreams, even nicks? Yeah, so Barna, you're beginning to become more lucid in your dream state. So try to, whatever, in that moment when you begin to feel physical touch, try to become aware gently without dropping your frequency. We talked earlier that when you're engaging with someone and you come into fear, you become really dense and hard and solid. So what happens is that there's a merging of these two dimensions in your dream state. Okay, so when that happens in waking state, it can also happen in dream state. So I hear this all the time, people that are lucid dreamers or contactees, for example, that are interacting in these realms with other dimensions. As soon as they get fearful, they drop or they lose the image or they forget what's happening. So the invitation is next time you start to kind of regain a little consciousness in those dream states, try to stay as calm and centered. Practice your grounding and your bubble around your body to bring yourself back into the body. All of the techniques I'm teaching you are also valid in the dream state. Okay, so activate that ability in your dream state, and you can also begin to work with the energy. So let me see what else. Yeah, and then so also that will help you identify and discern if your interactions are parasitic, or maybe there's an exchange that's happening there. Not all, you have to discern that. Okay, so there are different kinds of exchanges that can happen. Yeah, Barna. So Laura says, I tell her all about energy, God, and way of life, etc., but she pushes against me. I don't think she believes in God. Yeah, and that's very common, my love, for people that are in this state, and it's because they have lost such severe self-trust and disconnect from the body. So one of the powerful ways that we can begin to change that is by becoming an example of someone that has high integrity, and that is really connected to listening to their body and honoring that body in their actions, mind, body, and soul. As a parent, and I think you mentioned she was 12, so I'm assuming you're still interacting with her quite often. So it could be very, very interesting for us. And for the new era of kids, remember that they're growing away from the old paradigm in the idea of deities or solid forms of people that we worship or think of as higher consciousness, more powerful than humans, where humans don't have power. So when we talk about God, I will invite you to make it more real, more physical, more embodied, as the body is the vessel that is the anchoring of this higher consciousness, or what you call God, and that we are evolving into this godlike species, which is aware of their emotions, aware of their intentions and the things that they're doing. So this is important, that we kind of change our language as we begin to grow into a higher consciousness humanity, coming into more unity consciousness, where there's less of a separation or hierarchy of energy and intelligence, but rather all things are intelligent around us. All things are an embodiment of that source, of that God. And then demonstrating that as an example of an embodied God. In other words, this alchemical change in the self, that you now become this Christ consciousness in your life. So this will create a force field around your body, that begins to create a magnetization in the body, that begins to open a warm, safe space for someone that is experiencing this trauma. Okay. Yeah, we could talk some more. Marilena, so good to see you. Good morning, Geraldine. I watched from the beginning of the meditation. Awesome. Yes, thank you. I'm very open and honest with my children, probably too open and honest, but I'm obviously not communicating in the way she needs. Thank you, sister. Yeah. So definitely use your intuition to discern that, Laura. Oh, my love. I wish you the best for that. Holding space for her. Absolutely. Willard says, do you have omen dreams about prophecy of future like I do? Because I inherited from my late mom, who was Caucasian, full-blooded Cherokee Indian. She had John Malkovich abilities in her dreams I have had. Excellent, Willard. That's amazing. So please develop those. And yes, I do have those. They come as insights. But I don't hold on too much to those insights. And the reason why is because they are puzzle pieces that are kind of evolving as we move forward. And I like to evolve with the information that comes through me. And I like to use the information that comes through me for discernment and experience of my everyday life. So definitely look at the information that's coming through, and remember that all of us have like certain levels of filter until we reach a 0 point. So yeah, definitely take a look at the information you're having. Always ask if it's in resonance with you, but never get too identified or tied with any one thing that you tune into. Remember that we're all in nothing. We're trying to evolve with that. Okay. Mr. Oline, look, I know you've seen the family of gods that everybody believes that only character exists, when in fact, thanks to my astral projection and remote viewing and telepathy abilities. I didn't understand that, Willard, but maybe I'm reading that wrong. Yeah, if you can put your question more directly in capital letters, I'll be really happy to answer that. Okay. All right, my loves, thank you so much for your questions. Again, it is such an honor to be here with you. Oh, Alchemist, thank you so much for that super chat. You are so sweet. Much love to you. I really appreciate that. All your support and love and your questions. If I missed anything, don't worry. You can just put it in capital letters and I will respond tomorrow. Okay. And if you guys want to join us on Thursday, which is 888, one of the most powerful days of this year, the Lion's Gate, so exciting. Join us for this event. It's going to be a group hypnosis where we get deep into some of this healing. Okay. And I would really love to share that with you. So thank you so much. And I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, my love. Bye-bye.